So my past 10 videos now have all been NBA predictions for specific NBA teams, and this is a series that I'm really enjoying doing, but I thought I'd mix it up a bit. One of the teams that I have covered is the Brooklyn Nets, but since I've traded for James Harden and lost a lot of their role players, my prediction is a bit obsolete. And with the Nets now obviously having Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving and James Harden, they are one of the favourites for the championship this season, even if they weren't before. You've got Kevin Durant and James Harden, who are both arguably top 5 scorers of all time, and then Kyrie Irving is the best ball handler ever and still averages 25 points a night. All in all, this could be the best offensive trio that we have ever seen in the NBA. But the question on everyone's mind is, how will this trio actually play together and what success can they bring the Brooklyn Nets? What will their team chemistry look like as well, and can they win the 2021 NBA Championship? So where do we start with this? And I think it's interesting to look at the most successful trios in NBA history and some of the most successful duos too. And for the duos, I'm going to be specifically looking at players which are very equal in level. Because more often than not in a great duo, you'll have one incredible player who's one of the best players in the league, and then a player who isn't as great but complements the superstar really well. Think Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, LeBron and D Wade, LeBron and Kyrie, and Larry Bird and Kevin McHale. But then you've got some outliers like Magic and Kareem and Kobe and Shaq, where you could debate who was the greater out of the two. But with these two duos, you've got a guard and a centre, so even though they're very similar in level, they don't really get in the way of each other. And obviously with them playing completely different positions, their play styles are polar opposites. But probably the easiest comparison you can draw to this Nets team is the 2017 Warriors, with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. In my eyes, this is easily a top 5 trio all time, and if they played more than 3 seasons together, they could be even higher up on this list. Then both of these trios obviously have KD on them, and then Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving are pretty similar in play styles. But Klay Thompson and James Harden, they're completely different players. Klay Thompson plays solely off the ball and comes off screens to get wide open looks. In fact, Klay Thompson will rarely even dribble the ball, as the Warriors' offense was built around him so that he didn't have to. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you have James Harden, whose game is built around him dribbling the ball and playing as an ISO player. So how will this trio actually play together? With Kyrie still being out, we're still yet to see the three of them play together. But in Harden's debut, he played with KD and they both had great games. Harden had a 32-point triple-double and KD had 42 points. And in fact, this was the first time in NBA history that a player has had a 30-point triple-double in their debut for a team. And although it is just one game, I can't help but feel excited when watching these two play together. But when Kyrie does come back, as it's going to happen sooner or later, how will this trio actually work together and what success can they bring the Nets? And in my opinion, for the team to be successful, they need to establish a pecking order as who is the main player, then the second option, and then the third option. For me, it's a no-brainer that KD is the first option. He's the best player out of the three and he's the most versatile scorer. And as well, back in Golden State, he was the go-to player at the end of the game even though they had Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. You could argue that Steph is a better player than KD, or was when they played together, but in the most clutch moments, more often than not it was KD hitting the shots. And then number 2 would be James Harden, and number 3 Kyrie. And most fans agree that this is the order that makes sense, but what matters most is, do the players agree on this? What's important to note on this is that KD being the first option doesn't always mean that KD will be the player to take the last shot, or to take a shot in clutch moments. Because in Game 7 of the 2016 Finals, when the Cavaliers faced the Warriors, it wasn't LeBron to take the clutch shot, it was Kyrie. And I'm not sure why exactly that LeBron didn't take this shot, but this is one of the most clutch shots in the past decade. So there will be times when Kyrie or James Harden is the guy to take the last shot, but I expect KD to take the most shots out of the three of them. This will most likely cause James Harden's scoring numbers to drop, but what is most important is maximising the chance of the Brooklyn Nets winning a championship. So hopefully James will understand this, and I'm sure there has already been discussion of this in the team. Then the final topic to discuss is, what will their offense actually look like, because the phrase "there's only one ball" seems to come up time and time again when talking about these three. But the thing is, all three of them can still be very effective off the ball, and Kevin Durant especially. So what I think will happen is all three of them will almost take it in turns to be the ball handler in a possession. And I think Kevin Durant will be by far the most open to this idea, because when he went to Golden State, he knew he was going to take less shots with Steph Curry being there, and it worked very well for them. And obviously Kyrie has played with LeBron, and he knows that when he's on the floor with LeBron or with superstars like this, he's going to get the ball less. But then the thing with James Harden is that the experiment with him and Westbrook in Houston really didn't work out, and after just one season they already scrapped it and went their separate ways. But the thing is, I do believe Harden will be willing to make compromises to his game for the greater success of the team. Because when Harden signed the trade to go to the Brooklyn Nets, he knew what he was signing up for, and he knows he can't play the same way that he's done in these past few seasons. And they may not all like it, but I think they'll all understand that to improve their chances of winning a championship, they need to make compromises to their game. Because for all three of them in the rest of their careers, this is by far the best chance of them getting a ring. And are they capable of winning a ring this season? Absolutely. But it will be by no means easy, and even making it out of the East will be a struggle. And then they'll likely face the Lakers in the final, which will be a really tough series. So do you think the Brooklyn Nets can win the 2021 NBA Championship, or are you siding with the Lakers like I am? Or perhaps you think a completely different team is the favourite to win the championship. Just leave a comment down below giving your team and then explaining why. And as well, if you wouldn't mind liking the video, that really does help me out. And then as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.